wonder what is terrible law school advice? Well, heads up, we're about to head into some 1L year unpopular opinions because I have heard traditional advice from law school professors, student services, even other law students that have completely backfired in people's faces in my years as a full-time law school strategy coach. So if you are heading into law school and you want the play-by-play for what to do, definitely grab my free Beat the Curve guide here. And if you are ready for some 1L year completely unpopular opinions, then smash that like button and let's go. Unpopular opinion number one. Don't join a study group. Now, I know, Legally Blonde and The Paper Chase make study groups look like they are a staple of the law school experience, and you have to be in one or you will be completely left out in the cold. But the reality is that study groups are actually a huge hindrance to you actually learning the material and doing well in your law school classes. And there are a few reasons for this. Number one, when you get together with other law students, guess what? 85% of that time is going to be spent talking about law school, about your professors, about other people in your class that you may or may not like, and how hard and how difficult the experience is. And all of that bonding, all of that human connection is fantastic, but it needs to be in the category of connecting with other humans, not in the category of studying, because what the study groups actually do is make studying completely inefficient and ineffective, where if you're carving out an hour and a half to 3 hours to study, maybe 15 minutes, 30 minutes of that time is actually going to be used in a productive way. And the other reason why joining a study group in law school is not a good strategy is because it lures you into this false sense of security that you guys collectively as a group have done the work to understand this material. Where the reality is when you walk into that final exam at the end of the semester, you are an island. You need to have done all the work and have all the understanding and mastery to be able to tackle that final exam alone and not have this sense of dependence on other people or other people's work product. Unpopular opinion number two, typed transcript style notes are better than handwritten notes. So hear me out on this one because I know a lot of people are going to come for me in the comments on this. So you will hear ad nauseum from professors and student services that handwritten notes are better than typed transcript style notes. And the reason that a lot of people say this is because that handwritten notes in theory allow you to focus better in class, right? If you're not distracted by emails and messages and just browsing the internet generally, you are by default likely going to be paying more attention to what your professor is saying. And a lot of people also like handwritten notes or are big fans of handwritten notes because in theory, you're going to be able to process more information in the moment because you're not so busy writing down every single thing that your professor is saying. So you are able to conceptualize and focus more in the moment and only write down the important stuff. But the reason why I'm such a big fan of transcript style class notes is one, because of the way that law school is taught. So when the professor is lecturing, everything that is coming out of the professor's mouth is gold, not just conceptually, not just on a high level overview basis, but literally the words that the professor is using. Because in law school, the wording of the law, the wording of the rules absolutely matters. And so we want to get notes on the page that are not just general concepts and understandings, but again, the literal words of the professor in his or her class lecture. Another reason why I'm such a big fan of typed transcript style notes is because of the way that law school is tested. And so in law school, we are not tested on the material the end of the day or at the end of the week. We're tested on this material 4 months from now in a winner-take-all battle royale style final exam. And so even if handwritten notes allows us to percentage-wise understand more information in the moment, if we don't get that information down on the page, there is no way that we can expect ourselves to remember it 4 months later when we're tested on it, especially because of the massive amount of content coming our way every day, every week, every month. And so with typed transcript style notes, we're able to get all of that information on the page so that we can actually use it and practice it and repeat it throughout the course of the semester. And the other great thing about typed transcript style notes is that you're essentially putting yourself through a typing boot camp all day, every day. And when it comes to final exams in law school, we are talking about a race course style exam where not only are we identifying issues and not only are we writing arguments on the page, we're also trying to do it faster than everybody else in our class. And so if you are practicing typing all day, every day, you are naturally becoming a faster typer, which is going to give you a benefit when you walk into that final exam room at the end of the semester. Unpopular opinion number 3. Don't read the cases that you're assigned. Now, I know this is a complete betrayal of everything your professor is going to tell you in class, so let's talk about it. When you are assigned reading in law school, the vast majority of that reading is cases, meaning written judicial opinions designed to resolve a dispute between two parties in a litigation. These cases are long, they're convoluted, they are not designed to actually teach law students the law. And so what winds up happening is that we spend hours and hours and hours reading, rereading these cases in preparation for class out of fear of cold calls, out of fear of being asked a question that we don't know the answer to. And because there's so much of this reading, most new law students spend 99% of their time on this step, leaving no time for any of the post-class steps. And so what we ideally want to do is start with a case resource that is designed to tell us what this case is about, why it's important, what information we're actually supposed to extract from it so that we know heading into class what those big takeaways are. Anything else that you do, any reading of the case, taking notes on the case, book briefing of the case, is a complete and total guessing game as to what your professor might talk about in class. And I completely understand the need and the desire to play this guessing game for the first 3-ish weeks of class while you're getting to know your professor, figuring out their lecture style and their cold call style, and just generally feeling psychologically safe walking into class. But once that 4th week hits, ideally we are shifting from actually reading the case to using that very precious time for the steps that actually move the needle, which are our post-class study steps, outlines, canned answers, and practice exams. To get a breakdown of what that looks like, definitely grab my free Beat the Curve guide here. It will walk you through those steps. But the big takeaway here is that if we can wait 24 hours and get from the horse's mouth, from our professor's mouth, exactly what they think is relevant from the case, that's all we need to know. That's what we want to get down, and that's what we want to use on a final exam. Unpopular opinion number 4, start your outlines week 1 of class. Now, I know that is crazy fast. I know that is incredibly ambitious, but the reality is that in law school, there is such a huge quantity of information coming at us so quickly that anytime we delay work, we are essentially accumulating it and snowballing it for our future selves. And so as we sit down to outline, if we're waiting until week 6, week 8, week 10, now we're not outlining 1 week's worth of content. We're outlining 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 10 weeks worth of content, which is not realistic to do that late in the game. And so, yes, in an ideal situation, we would love to be able to wait to outline so that a professor could actually finish a whole section of content for us to then be able to review it and synthesize it and sit with it and bring it together. But the reality in law school is that we're not in an ideal situation. They are teaching us way too much content way too quickly so that we need to be able to front load that so our future selves can actually understand this stuff, learn it, and have a grasp of it when we're evaluated on it. And even if in the past one could potentially wait till the middle of the semester to outline, which I still wouldn't have recommended, by the way, now the way that law school is taught, midterms cut the semester in half. So 6, 7, 8 weeks in, we are being evaluated not only on our understanding, but our application of this content. And so we can't afford to wait like we maybe hypothetically could in the past. We have to get the ball rolling immediately so we have a shot at grasping this stuff and applying it in a timed environment in a way that's going to affect our grade. Unpopular opinion number 5, don't do anything else one year. What I mean by that is don't join a student organization, don't go get a part-time job, don't get yourself involved in an extracurricular, at least that first semester of law school. Why? Because the workload of 1L year is massive and it's also very difficult. And so it is going to take every moment of your time available to be able to get good at it, master it, repeat it, and learn it. And anything that we're doing that takes time away from that has an opportunity cost. And when it comes to marketing yourself as a new law student to go get the job you want, your 1L grades are going to be your strongest asset. Legal employers are going to care far less about any student organization, any extracurricular, any part-time job. So at least for that first semester, please give yourself the opportunity to go all in, to focus all your time and energy on the one thing you are getting good at, which is your classes, your grades. When it comes to second semester, we can talk about how first semester went and whether it makes sense to layer in a student organization, an extracurricular, a part-time job. But before we even have that conversation, we need to see what it looks like to focus 100% on the grade piece, on the classroom piece, so that you can conquer these learning curves, get comfortable with this stuff, and then and only then think about layering in additional pulls on your time. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. I hope it wasn't too uncomfortable or controversial, although, it probably was. But if you're headed into law school, if you're headed into your 1L year, first of all, congratulations. But as I mentioned multiple times in this video, definitely grab your copy of my free Beat the Curve guide. It will walk you step by step through how I like to think about 1L grades strategy. And if any other questions come up, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. I'm more than happy to answer them. So with that, I'll see you guys in the next video.